Hey y'all, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad we could hang out again today. Today is time for part 2 of the Know the Novel Linkup, and this part is all about how the writing is going. If you haven't heard of the Know the Novel Linkup, I will leave the link to the original post down below, but essentially it's a link up hosted by Christine Smith that invites writers to share more about their works in progress and has a whole bunch of questions that you can answer to do that. So anyway, let's jump right on in with the first question, and that is, how's the writing going so far? And it went pretty well. I think I started probably back in July or August, and I finished mid-October. And while it is an incredibly rough draft, it's very short, very rough. Many places are like bracketed, be like add this detail later. I still think it's better than not having anything at all. So I'm quite happy that I was able to finish the draft, even though it is not at all the level I would like it to be at. It is much better than it would have been not written. Question 2 is, what's been the most fun aspect of writing this novel so far? And I'm not sure. I think part of it is just exploring the various different characters, because this is the first time in a very long time that I've had this many POV characters, and being able to explore each one of them and their individual struggles has been quite interesting. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it fun, but it has been very interesting and I've enjoyed that so far. Question number 3 is, what do you think of your characters at this point and which one is the most fun to write? I like each of my characters. I think they're all very unique in their struggles and what they bring to the table. But I think my favorite so far is Taeyeon, and that is because I relate to his struggles pretty closely, and I've enjoyed the characteristics that he's drawn out so far. I think he's been the most interesting character to develop so far. And obviously these characters will grow as I edit, as I redraft, all that, as I have them go to betas. I believe the characters will all grow in their own unique ways, and I'm excited to see that, but I think Taeyeon's my favorite so far. Question number 4 is, has your novel surprised you in any way? And yeah, I think so. I think it kind of surprised me as to, like, I did have to redraft, or not redraft, but I re-outlined the ending. Some of the details that I had originally planned, I realized when I got there that they didn't fit, they didn't work. So I re-outlined the ending, and I think is much stronger in that way. Also, the characters, as usual, surprised me with their various quirks and personality traits and struggles. And so that was really fun to explore. I usually like to let the characters just breathe on the page and become who they are supposed to be. I don't like to spend a whole lot of time plotting them out beforehand because they tend to change. So I was very excited to see that. That's been fun. Question number 5 is, have you come across any problem areas? And yes and no. This is one of the first books where I've had so many bracketed areas where I was like, I don't know what to do with this spot, and I was learning to just let that be and say, this is okay, future me will figure this problem out, just get the story on the page however it needs to be. And so yeah, there's been some problem areas there, and I'm learning to have faith and confidence that it'll get fixed and that it'll be done. But that I need to be faithful in putting something on the page, even if it's not exactly what I would like it to be. I have to have faith that it will become what it's supposed to be in the end, and that I just need to press on and make the strides towards that. So that's been kind of a rough patch, I guess, of learning, and I'm learning to be okay with that. Question number 6 is, what is the biggest victory you've had so far? And I'm not sure. I think, as I mentioned in the previous question, I think becoming okay with the draft being so far removed from what I envisioned was a very big victory for me, because I'm learning that external victories, while they're awesome and they're great, are not as helpful as the internal victory of changing our mindset or learning new things and being okay with things that we previously struggled with. I think those are bigger victories in the long run because they develop us as characters, as people, and they make us better than any external victory ever could. And so I think the biggest victory is just learning to be okay with where I am as an author right now and allowing myself to grow as a person. I think that's very exciting and very encouraging for me, and I think that's been my biggest victory so far. The next question is, if you were teleported into this story and became any of the characters, which would it be? And would you make any other decisions besides the ones that the character made, or any decisions different than what the characters made? If I were teleported into my world, I would either be Siska or Taeyeon. Probably Siska, if I were being completely honest, because of her work. I think that I would probably be most like her. I'm not sure as far as Siska if I would make any different changes as far as choices. I feel like I would probably make very similar choices, for good or for bad. I would probably make very similar choices to her. And Taeyeon, I would be more likely to tell myself it's not my fault. He often carries a lot of blame and a lot of, he faults himself for a lot of things that are out of his control. I think I might be more likely to correct that, but I don't actually know, but I think those would be the two characters I would probably be, and maybe some of the choices I would make differently. And the next question number 8, is give us the first line and maybe a few more snippets. So I'll give the first line. I don't necessarily want to go hunting for snippets because that could take me a very long time, so I'll go ahead and give you the first line. We have hope. The mantra washed through the crowd like the breeze that slapped up. The mantra paused on Jossie's lips until the spaceship's engines died down, the side door to the craft opened, and she spotted her brother-in-law descending the gangplank. Then she whispered, "We have hope," to her twin sister. Her words were drowned out by the cheering crowd, but Alex understood and grasped Jossie's hands in hers, giving it a squeeze. The next question, number 9, is share any interesting tidbits about your writing process so far. Like if you had any funny typos or anything of that nature. And I think one of the ones I mentioned previously was that my ending turned out to be very different from what I initially had plotted, and so that was very interesting. I think there's a couple other interesting things that came up. One of my characters had a struggle with a mental illness that I didn't realize was going to be prevalent in the book. So that was very interesting. I'm deciding whether or not I want to keep that in or not. But it seemed right for his character. One other interesting thing was the fact that I have 4 POV characters, but one of them was supposed to be like the main POV character, but it turns out that might change. One of the other characters seems to have more at stake and should be the main character. And so that was a little interesting, and I'm brainstorming that in my mind so that I can decide in edits what I want to pursue and if I would like to change that up. So that's been kind of interesting. And the last question is, take us on a tour of what a normal writing day looks like. Do you write, what time of day do you write? Do you have any beverages? Stuff like that. And I usually write in the mornings. That's before I get down to work on my day job, bill paying job. And I usually write for about 30 minutes to an hour. And that seems to work pretty well for me. I usually keep my water on hand, and I will play some sort of ambient like soundtrack music, whatever just seems to vibe with the day and what my brain needs. I don't usually have too much of a fancy setup or anything. I just sit in my office and I write usually, and that seems to work really well. And yeah, it's kind of not aesthetic at all. It just is sit down and write, and that works for me. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Those are all my answers to the questions. Again, I will leave the link to the post down below so you can go check them out and participate if you would like. But if you want to answer any of these questions in the comments down below, I'd be happy to hear them. And yeah, I hope we can hang out again sometime soon. But until then, I hope you have a very blessed day. Bye!